Update. My husband died and I have to pretend that he was a great man who loved me. Original post. My husband passed away 3 months ago and I felt relieved when it happened. He abused me financially, mentally, and even physically. When I got pregnant, he convinced me to quit my job, promising that he would take care of me. From that moment on, I couldn't buy anything without his permission, not even a single cream. Even when I had a little money of my own, I still had to ask him before buying anything. What was mine was his, and what was his was also his. I stayed because I still loved him and had nowhere else to go. I had such low self-esteem that I let him walk all over me. By the time I stopped loving him, he had already had his first affair. He made me believe it was my fault because I didn't want to have sex for months after giving birth, which had left me torn and required stitches. I was already planning my escape, saving money little by little while working from home, since he wouldn't let me work outside due to his extreme jealousy. I wanted to save enough to hire a lawyer. He was having another affair, this time with a male friend of his, which at least kept him busy and away from me. I didn't care anymore that he was ignoring me. I wanted him as far away as possible. I knew about the affair and could have caused a big scene, but I didn't. I kept quiet and focused on my escape while he and his lover continued their secret relationship. I felt nothing but disgust for my husband. Then, my husband died in a way I never would have expected. Now he's being treated like a martyr. When someone dies, do all their sins just disappear? Because even my family who knew about his affairs and the way he manipulated me now talk about what a good man he was and say we shouldn't speak ill of the dead. Everyone around me talks about how beautiful our relationship was. His family goes on about what a great man he was and how he always focused on providing for me and our child. His affair partner even hugged me at the funeral, saying my husband loved me. His friends kept talking about what a wonderful person he was. They all act like he was some kind of saint, saying he's now an angel in heaven. I have to pretend to be sad. The day he died, I cried a lot, but it wasn't out of sadness. I cried with relief because I felt free. It would have taken me many years to save enough for lawyers with my small business, and he would have made my life a living hell if he ever found out I was hiding money. He told me so every time I stood up for myself. But now, I have the house. I have everything. I receive monthly widow's benefits, and I have full custody of my children. I've started seeing a psychologist, and everyone thinks I'm doing it to cope with grief. But that's not the case. I'm doing it to heal from the abuse I suffered. It was really hard to pretend to be sad at the funeral. But I did it for my child. I did it because now everything is over, and I am finally free. If I had made a scene, my ex-mother-in-law would have tried to take everything from me. She was just like him. But now I'm just the sad widow who needs help in their eyes. The clueless widow who didn't know anything. That's what's allowing me to be free and keep what I deserve. Edit. We are not from an Islamic country and here same-sex couples can live and marry freely. He cheated on me with a man, just like he cheated on me with a woman. I guess he was bisexual. Now for the top comments before reading the update. I'd sell that house and move far, far away from his family. For now, I can sell the house, but in the future when I get a better job, I plan to move and finally cut off contact with them. For now, I can only move away little by little. Here there is a law that prohibits preventing grandparents from seeing their grandchildren. I had already left my ex when he died, but I was still so relieved. My son was a toddler, and with that abusive POS gone, I wouldn't feel that fear of him hurting my son or breaking no contact order again and hurting me. My son never needs to know what his dad was. And of course, I was relieved there would be no more victims. I still have a hard time receiving condolences. The man tried to end me and would beat me over something as minor as spilled coffee. I empathize with what you are experiencing, the relief and the secrecy you keep around your feelings. But I'm happy for you. I'm happy for your loss. You deserve nothing but peace. Why is it when abusive/horrible people die, we pretend they were good people, when we know they're rotten and the world is a better place without them? Why can't we be truthful? My dad recently died after 60 years of marriage to my mom. I'm kinda glad I had an emergency and missed his memorial service where hundreds of people showed up to talk about what a great inspiration and pillar of society he was. To me, he was a wife beater, a cheater, a child abuser, a narcissist, and a household dictator. I am looking forward to my mom's last years without that albatross around her neck. Somehow she still mourns him a little, but I think she is more relieved than sad that he is gone too. Solidarity, OB. You were not alone. I've experienced the same thing. My late husband was an a-hole. When he died, I found $120K in debt, amphetamines, benzodiazepines, and a lover. When he died, I and my children were free. I kind of kept my mouth shut for the sake of his mother, but everyone else knew he was a jerk. Not speaking ill of the dead is horse dung. The trauma and pain they cause does not disappear when they die. Not speaking ill of the dead just supports old legacy BS. Screw that. Is it great that you can't defame dead people? No one can sue you. Not their family, estate, or friends. No one can sue you for saying bad things about a dead person. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. You can't defame the dead. So say what you want. Say it quietly, say it loudly. Put it on a billboard, put it on flyers, and pass around the neighborhood. Now for the update. It's been several weeks since I last posted, and I didn't expect my post to end up in other places. Honestly, I had completely forgotten that I posted here, but a few days ago, my late husband's lover and friend visited my house, saying he had found my post. I didn't expect him to find this, and it scared me a bit. One of my sons let him in, and since I hadn't heard a doorbell, I had no choice but to talk to him to avoid making a scene in front of my kids. I also wanted to hear what he had to say. Once we were alone, he told me that he knew I was aware of his affair with my husband because of a post I allegedly made on TikTok. However, I never posted anything on TikTok, so I think someone else must have uploaded it there. He admitted that my husband wasn't the best spouse, but insisted that he was a great friend and a hard-working man, respected by everyone. He said that even his family misses him terribly, and that despite his mistakes, I should let go of the past and stop digging into it, claiming that we're all better off that way. He kept insisting to the point where I felt intimidated. His attitude reminded me of my husband, and it was the first time I had that feeling with anyone other than him. I usually have no problem talking to men, but this situation made me feel like I was on the verge of a panic attack. He's clearly scared that I'll reveal everything. He's gay, and I don't know if he has a boyfriend, but perhaps he does, which could explain why he doesn't want me to say anything about the affair. I've been a submissive woman for years. My ex-husband turned me into a fearful person, someone I wasn't before. He made me the kind of woman who always kept her head down. But when he died, I felt liberated. I cried with relief for days. When this man came into my house and started telling me what to do, it felt like seeing my ex-husband all over again, giving me instructions on how to behave and what I should do. This is a man who knew very well that I was in an abusive relationship, because he knew what my ex was like and still chose to sleep with him. The man my husband made me cook for, only to then sleep with him as if I were just a maid, was now at my house telling me what a great person my ex was, and that I should keep quiet. It was too much. I wanted to slap him, but I ended up punching him in the face. I don't regret it. It felt like hitting my husband too. I yelled at him to leave or else I would tell everyone what had happened. He left and hasn't contacted me since. Initially, my plan was to stay silent and let go of the past. But that's different from having this man come into my home and try to control me like I'm some sort of doll. Maybe my reaction wasn't the best, but I'm tired of being told to shut up. I never had the courage to stand up to my husband, but in that moment, I felt like I finally did. I haven't told anyone about the situation yet, nor do I plan to, but if he tries anything, I won't hesitate to post on TikTok or Facebook about everything. Regarding the house, with the economic crisis, I'm not sure anyone can afford to buy a house like this right now. For now, I'm focusing on finding a better job so I can eventually rent out this house as a source of income. My other goal is to buy a small piece of land, no matter how far away, just to have something that belongs to me and my children. My children don't seem to miss their father much, and I understand why. It took a while to find them a child psychologist, but they recently started attending sessions and are doing well. I'm also seeing a psychologist. One of the best decisions I've made is gradually distancing myself from my ex-mother-in-law and even my own family. I've started making excuses to see them less often, citing work or saying we're not at home. While I still let my ex-mother-in-law visit occasionally, I think even the kids are happier now that they see me in a better mood. I doubt many people are still interested in this, but thank you for the messages. However, please understand that cultures and laws vary. Here, buying a house or moving to another part of the country within a month is nearly impossible for many. I truly loathe the idea that you should not speak ill of the dead. If they were evil, I see no reason we should pretend they were saints. Our memories of them certainly were not of saints. I have a friend whose abusive husband was killed in a road accident. I feel bad for her because even though he was an abusive BOS, feelings are complicated, and she had a hard time with that. I feel bad for his kids because they lost their dad, but I do not feel bad for him, not one bit. Never liked him in life, and death doesn't change that. He deserved to die. Seriously, the audacity of the affair partner to come to OP's house. Screw that guy. And she has a perfect out if the guy tells anyone about the punch. All she has to say is that he made a crude pass at her, so she fought back. Last story. I, 32 female, think that I have to break up with my fiancé, 35 male, after he embarrassed me in public over a sandwich. For starters, there are many layers to this situation that make it feel like it has to be the end. My partner and I have been together for over 9 years, and honestly, the first 4 to 5 years were great. I had never felt this way about anyone in my life, but things started going downhill after that. I began to realize that he always had an excuse for not helping me with cooking or cleaning, no matter how much I begged for help. He started making me feel like visiting my family was a burden on him, making snide remarks the entire time, and turning every trip into a miserable experience that left me in tears. I know it might sound dumb, but I've even started having panic attacks because of how much he ruins the holidays. He doesn't communicate in a healthy way, and seems to wait until the last possible moment to apologize, if he even does. I've been at the last straw point for a few years now, but I always end up forgiving him because, well, I love him. It's like that saying, when it's great, it's really great, but when it's bad, it's really bad. Now, let me tell you about what happened a few days ago when he lost his temper in public, over a sandwich. We both had a day off, so we decided to run some errands and then grab lunch at a sandwich shop. Honestly, the first half of the day was fine, but everything changed when it was time to eat. We walked in, and because it was noon, the place was packed. Unfortunately, there was only one person working, so we had to wait in line for about 20 minutes. It was frustrating, but I try to keep things positive because I know he gets irritated easily. While we were waiting, we overheard the employee tell other customers that some ingredients were either out or had gone bad. It might have been due to the hurricane the week before. While we didn't get hit too hard, some areas lost power, but I'm not entirely sure what was going on. For a bit of background, I had an ex who used to work at this particular sandwich chain, and he introduced me to a sandwich I've loved since I was about 18 or 19. I introduced it to my fiancé, and we've always ordered the same thing whenever we go there. Finally, it was our turn and we started our order. Bread, meat, cheese, then into the toaster. When it came out, I asked for lots of spinach. The employee looked at me and broke the news that the spinach had gone bad. Bummer, but it wasn't the end of the world. Or at least I didn't think so. My fiancé standing next to me suddenly exploded. Are you freaking serious? Dude, F this sh**. She did this on purpose. We're freaking leaving. Come on. He then stormed out, leaving me standing there while everyone in the shop stared uncomfortably, like watching a Karen meltdown. Except it was my partner causing the scene. Just to add, I have extreme social anxiety, and he is absolutely aware of how severe it is. I stood there and quietly told the employee that he was upset, and we might just head out. That's when she said, "Nah, if you leave, I'm calling the cops." My anxiety went through the roof. The cops. What? I checked my phone, and my fiancé had texted me, "Get that food and we're done." So now, not only were the cops potentially involved, but I was also apparently getting broken up with. I texted him back saying he had left me in a bad situation and knew how bad my anxiety was. Meanwhile, the employee said, "I can't believe you would come in here, knowing we're low on ingredients, and waste what little we have." And honestly, she had a point. I was going to settle for lettuce instead of spinach. But now I was standing there, being blamed for something I didn't do. I got another text from him. Screw it, find someone else to come and get you. Great, now I was stranded. I finished building the sandwiches, paid, and tried to hide behind a bag of food, hoping he was still there. Thankfully, he was. Unfortunately, the entire ride home was awful. For 15 minutes straight, he screamed at me, blaming me for everything, saying I wasn't a team player, and that I had chosen my side. I was bawling the entire time. I haven't spoken to him for 3 days. He sent me a text apologizing, but honestly, I'm feeling fed up. I also have a family event tomorrow, but I guess I can't go because he has the only vehicle. So once again, I'm going to disappoint my family. I don't know, I'm just stressed out and unsure what to do anymore. If you've made it to the end, thank you for letting me vent. If you have any advice, I would really appreciate it. I think this is a wonderful wake-up call, telling you that you need to be done because this isn't how you want to be treated by your partner. She's in an abusive relationship, and if she marries him, it will only get way worse. He's already isolating her from her family. Having one car was by design. He threatens to leave her in public. She needs to go to her family and break up with him over text and have them get her things for her. He's dangerous. OP, I was with someone for 10 years who did this multiple times, among other horrible things. I've been divorced from him for 20 years, thankfully. Please get out of there, but be careful because he sounds unhinged. For me, it was just 3.5 years and it was absolute hell. The first year was good, and then it was just like what OP was describing. Absolutely awful. One time, he literally drove off because he didn't agree with me being polite to someone, and I just stood there. He would pull this crap for family events too, even during a freaking funeral. No. OP, get out. I loved this guy so much, I thought I'd marry him. And I'm thankful I caught him cheating, because I was holding on to straws too, forgiving him over and over. The situation you just described would be one-on-one what my ex and I would be like. And it's really not okay. I've been without him for some years now, and I feel relieved and liberated every single day. It took me literally over a year to stop being surprised that no one started screaming at me or people around me when stuff like you're describing happened. All of this is unacceptable. You are not responsible for his behavior, and a clerk, who had every right to be angry at him, had no right to threaten you with the cops. Dump him, but don't go back there. Do you know what the cops say when they get called out to a restaurant because someone has decided they don't want an order? Because they were informed after the order began that an essential item is not in stock? They say, "Why the hell did you call us out here? You did nothing wrong."